On today's episode, a really important topic, setting boundaries in relationships with coaching. Well, I had problems with this early on. I think many
Really?
people do. Y-
I
y-
know,
y-
me too. I did as well. I did as well. So, what do you think? Well, first of all, what were your
Yeah.
problems?
What
And
were
what
so early on, like very early on when I started, I was so eager to help people
yeah.
that you could have my phone number, you could have access to me all the time. Here's my address. Here's where my mom lives. I think I had struggled with letting clients know when they could reach me, when they can't,
Yep.
and through what channels they could reach me and through what channels they can't. And it was a little more complicated for me because of just being active on social media. The problem I run into with clients and boundaries is since they've been following me in my life, they feel a connection to me that I'm not aware of. Right. So they almost see me as like a friend, like, oh, I know everything about you because I put myself out there. So the boundaries, if I don't draw them, they can assume that the relationship is closer than it is, if that makes sense.
It is, and I think that that's a great point for folks who are content
Hmm.
creators to think about is, what are you putting out? You're projecting a persona, you're projecting a brand. Is that the person who shows up to the space of coaching, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because my public persona, and it is a persona, is really based in Lumia, in being
Right.
CEO of the
Right.
company. In my own coaching practice, I do non-traditional relationships, I
Mhm.
do kink, I do shame-based identity work, I do colonized mind. And so a lot of my clients have no idea what I do in my day job.
Mm,
it's,
interesting.
it's a
Yeah.
completely different subset. And that world doesn't really cross over. So it's easy for me to kind of engage in peer coaching. And
Do you also
when I
want to
was
keep those separate, or is that intentional, or is that just the way that
I
that
it
happens?
it's really just the way the cookie crumbled. Like, I
Hmm.
I coach in one arena and I work in another, so the people
Hmm.
who get referred to me for my private practice typically come from sources from the world of sexuality or
Right.
personal referrals or, people who are really looking for the specialized stuff that I do. But when I started out, I was a lot more of a generalized coach, and
Right.
I first started really getting clients through the TAT platform
Hmm.
and through the communities that we were messing around with in the early days.
Yeah.
And I had the same affliction as you did of really wanting to help people
Right.
and being available and showing myself and being vulnerable. And I found that a lot of my boundaries were overrun because I
Hmm.
didn't have clear agreements. I didn't have a clear understanding for myself around, what a good boundary looked like and felt like with a client
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that really comes with time. So, what advice would you give to young coaches who are just starting out with this topic?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is be easy, be kind to yourself because it's okay to not go out of the gates with very hard boundaries. I mean, it could almost be, it could turn people off. So be easy on yourself if that's something that you haven't done or you struggle with. But eventually, the boundaries will be formed just through trial and error. I mean, one
Yeah.
of the ways that clients have. Uh, tried it to I don't know what I mean. They're not doing it intentionally, but so they'll email me, right?
Mhm.
And in their email, it's like a 4-page email that I don't have time to read, and they'll ask me questions on the email. So what happens is they have me once a week via session, but now they're wanting me to respond to their emails to talk about. And so what I do is I say I read this, just let them I read it, and then all I say is bring this into the room. Let's process.
Yes.
That's it. Because
Yes.
if not, if I start engaging, then it's that's a boundary cross. Meaning now you're spending a lot of time um, answering their email back and forth. And this could be a
Yeah.
text, this could be a DM, but this is what tends to happen: is clients want more of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so this is really good stuff, and something that I'm thinking about is the role of intuition as it
Mhm.
plays into coaching mindset, that even
Mhm.
if you're just starting out and you're not sure what your boundaries are, you're not sure what your capacity is and your thresholds are, you can always, always, always look inward and ask yourself the question, does this feel okay?
Mm.
Does this
Yes.
feel okay to me?
Yeah. And I gotta say, it's great that we're talking about this because you are definitely more of a private person.
Mhm.
I've always been kind of a public, show everything, kind of document my stories. So, um, whoever's listening to this, you're going to be able to relate to either of us or somewhere in the middle, right? So, um, it's good that we're not both public or we're not both private.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some pieces that are very elegantly and intentionally baked into ICF coach training that
Mhm.
basically gives you the bumpers on the bowling lanes of communication. So, taking the time to really get into an ICF based coach training program, learn about the competency of setting the agreement with
Mhm.
coaching, because really
Mhm.
that's the world that we're living in here, will help you. So, how does this work? What are we talking about? And what are these bumpers on the bowling lanes? When we set the coaching agreement, it's our written contract. And it may feel silly and like minutia to put these details into your contract, but
Mhm.
they're really important to have at the outset so that your client has it in writing, that
Yeah.
you have record that your client has signed off on your terms, and then if something goes off the rails, you can always refer back to that contract.
Yes, one of the problems, not problem, one of the mistakes I've made in the past was not putting things down on paper, and
Yeah.
then they can say, "Well, it wasn't in the contract, or you never
Yeah.
talked about this. You never said I couldn't do this. You never said I couldn't come to your house at 2 a.m. That was not in the paperwork, John.
Yeah.
So here I
Yeah.
am."
Here you are. Here you are. All right. So let's talk about what does go into the contract. When you meet with a client, and this looks
Mhm.
different for every client. What do your clients typically do? When do you meet with clients? Do they set sessions at will? Is it a pack of sessions?
No, no, not I don't do the whole, calendar schedule whenever you want. Oh, man, that gives me so much anxiety. I know a lot of busy people do that, it works for them. Um, I schedule it via email. They ask me, I look at my calendar, and I check in with myself, and I'm like, "Okay, where can I do a session, and is that okay?" Without being rushed and all that. So I do very few sessions these days, but that's how I do it. I just kinda do it, via email, set it up, and it could be at a coffee shop, it could be via Zoom, it could be wherever. But I make sure I personally know where the session is in my schedule, and I'm okay with it. I don't like just waking up and then looking at the calendar and oh my god, I've got 4 sessions and just like showing up. I don't like other coaches do. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I actually I feel the same, simply because I have a very busy
Right.
day
Right.
otherwise, and I think what you're talking about is really important in the context of when you meet with clients, because part of that is actually managing your energy as a coach
Mm, mhm.
and looking at your calendar to know when you're gonna be able to focus, when you're gonna be able to be in flow, when you're gonna be too tired to coach. So it really depends on how you're setting up your practice.
Let's
Um,
wait. This is such an important. This is what you're tapping on is something that I didn't even think about. That is
yeah,
actually really important, and it is also because people can assume we're only talking about boundaries um, for clients, but also boundaries for yourself. And what I mean by
yeah,
that is we have a responsibility to show up in a good headspace,
yes.
and so if we are forcing ourselves to do sessions when we're thinking about all these other things, it's not fair to the client. So, a boundary also so you can show up better, or you could show up, in a state that is, giving and neutral
Mhm.
and all of that. So the boundaries, it kind of works both ways.
Yeah, and part of that is 100% calendar management.
Mhm.
I have a couple clients that I meet with weekly. Every Monday, we meet,
Mhm.
and I know that's on my calendar. It's recurring. I build my
Right.
schedule around
Right.
it. It's been contracted. I have some clients that'll buy like a 10 pack or a 12 pack, and they'll use
Mhm.
it over the course of the year. So they'll, same thing as you, email me when they need a session, but that all goes into the contract. Um, what about when somebody is part of a program? How does that work for you? Because you've done that before, where you've had a group of
Yeah.
people come together.
Yeah, so I do a lot of that. I build a small team, and then the coaches rotate. And so what I do is I allow the coach to set their own boundaries for their own session, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
cool.
So
Yeah.
I may open it. It may be like a 8 week program, but usually I'm not the only coach. I'm opening it. I'm closing it. I'm doing my stuff, but I have rotating coaches, and they set kind of their own parameters on how they
Yeah.
can be reached and how they can't. I try to stay out of it. I let each individual coach create their own boundaries.
Absolutely, and a lot of coaches do run programs, so that really
Mhm.
goes into the contracting of, like, well, what to expect. So,
Right.
you'll meet these times of the week, you'll have homework, and this is
Mhm.
how you engage, and everybody's clear on the engagement. I have, a weird one for you. How about if you're coaching as part of an experience, like at a retreat?
Yes. I was just gonna
Yeah,
say that. Yes, yes.
yeah. Yeah, so how
That's
does it work? Like, what does the
that's
client interface look like? How do you set those ground rules?
so Noel, that's the hardest actually. That's
Really?
because via email you can say, "Here's the contract," "Here's the boundaries." When you're sitting with a group of people in person, especially if it's intimate, meaning, maybe about 10 people, and it's in a very casual, relaxed atmosphere like a retreat, woods, we're sipping coffee. Um, Even though it's not intentional, it's very easy to quickly go from professional to friendly.
Yeah.
So like one of the I don't want to say one of the things that we struggle with is after the workshop or the group session is over, um, it's hard to get them out of the house. It's hard to get them back to their Airbnb because they don't sleep there. It's a small house, so they just hang out, and they're in your kitchen. They want to chat. They pull you aside, and there's nothing wrong with that. They want more of you, and they also feel very comfortable because you set that kind of tone. So they're eating chips. They're in your kitchen. They want to talk about more stuff, and it's now 9 p.m. And so before the retreat even starts, I say, and this is my boundary. I say, the house that you're staying in is our house. We're sleeping here, and so please respect the staff. After the group sessions are over, there's maybe a 10-minute where you could kind of pick slowly kind of, but you can't hang out here for hours. This is
Yeah.
not a high school party.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm really I mean, and this is something that I think it's great for coaches to get in the habit of, is being very verbal with your boundaries.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have no problem standing up in front of a room full of people and saying, "It's time to go.
yeah,
Out.
yeah, yeah,
Get out. Love
exactly.
you. See you tomorrow."
You may have
Yeah,
to you may have to do that at a retreat coming up.
absolutely, absolutely, and
People are gonna
so
be following you into your hotel room. They're gonna want more of you. You're like, okay,
and
I have to be alone in the restroom. Okay, I'll meet
and
you outside.
And I think that's where, a certain measure of just radical honesty and vulnerability comes in. We
Yeah.
do have our Lumia retreat coming up. It's you and I. There's
Mhm.
going to be 100 people there. I genuinely want to speak to every single person there and hear
Sure.
their story.
Yeah.
And something that happens for me is at the end of the day, my cup's gonna be empty,
Yeah.
and I'm literally gonna need to go sit in silence by myself, maybe
Yep.
hang out with some trees in order to have enough energy to get back up and do it again, and it's okay to be honest with people about that and
And
just
and
say,
and and also for someone like me who's an introvert, and I know you're an extrovert, I'm gonna disappear into my hotel room. Like
Yeah,
that's what I do. Yeah,
yeah,
I need that alone time by myself, or my nervous system is just So I could be very
I
social, but it doesn't come like for you that you get energy from the other people and stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I've gotten so used to your Irish goodbyes, they're just part of the experience.
yeah. The back door. Wait,
Back
where's
door.
John? Oh,
Did that oh, he
he's
left. He left. He needed to go recharge. He's gone. We'll see him tomorrow.
yeah.
All right. So you brought this up earlier, and it's the long emails. It's how you keep in touch with folks in between sessions. I think
Hmm.
this topic especially is really important. So how you keep in touch in between sessions is part of your contract.
Yes. Yes, and if
So
you're look, I have coaches that, have no problem giving, their phone numbers out, and they're like, "I want my clients to text me." I wouldn't do that, but that's you may want to, and that's okay. Or if you're starting out and you've got 3 clients, that may be okay for you.
it's really personal preference, right?
Yeah,
So,
personal preference.
I used to have a rule. No texting, no social media
Mhm.
messaging, because my boundaries were really overrun in the beginning, where I would
Mhm.
have my clients texting me, I'd have them
Mhm.
Facebook messaging me. It was too much. I would have
Yeah.
those, 4-page emails, and it was too much for me. So I put into my contract that I'm available Monday through Thursday, and I'm not available Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I'm tending to myself and others and I need
Mhm.
space to recharge. And
Mhm.
that I'll do my best to respond within 24 hours, but I have lots of other duties. And
Mhm.
unless it's like accountability updates that we've specifically agreed on in the session, then whatever it is will carry over, to the next session in
Yeah.
order to set that expectation. But what ended up happening is that my life got too bonkers, and I'm no longer able to keep up with email because of the sheer volume of
Yeah, of
emails
course,
that
of
I
course.
get.
Yeah.
And so I actually now ask my clients to text me if they need something. Because
Oh,
yeah, I don't have that many clients. I do want to hear from them. The text is the best way to get
yeah.
hold of me. And
Wait,
so
you know
if
what? That actually probably works in your favor because they probably for them to actually text you, it has to be really important then. Like, maybe they you know what I'm saying? Like, in emails, like, anyone will email you, but if it's like, "Oh, wait, she's letting me text her," I'm going to be, selective on what I because I know I don't get a lot of these cards, you know?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
depends on the client. There are some clients that, texting is actually part of our coaching relationship. That
Right.
there's a conversational cadence and ebb and a flow, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Other clients, you're right, do use it really sparingly. And there are some other things that I'm thinking about. You've worked on other apps, like coaching apps. So I know that like Noom or BetterUp or BetterHelp, they all use very formalized app-based tracking systems for client progress within sessions. Have you ever
Yeah.
used one?
Well, I was gonna say if you have a private practice, and of course not everyone wants to give away their phone number and but you're okay with texting, you can use apps like, WhatsApp.
Yep.
And also there's no charges, it's international. That's kind of the go-to.
Yeah.
So I would rather use apps like that, and technically it is texting without actually giving away your personal phone number. Because
Yeah.
what'll happen is it'll be good, they'll be respectful, and then suddenly, a year later, they'll text you and you're like, "Who's this person?" And they're like, "Oh." So WhatsApp is actually a great tool for that.
Yeah, 100%. And it is a best practice for coaches to keep in touch with their clients in between sessions so that there's a follow-up, follow through.
Yeah.
And we really want the initiative to be client driven. We don't want it to be coach driven. We don't want the coach to be chasing the client. Did you do your homework? Did you take
Right.
the action step? We
Right,
really
right.
want to set the client up for success with the expectation of, what are you going to take away from our session? What are you going to do? And then how do you want to communicate with me once you've done it? Is it going to be
Mhm.
an email? Is it going to be a text for celebration? Is it going to be part of a system that you use as a coach practitioner to track your client's progress that everybody can log into and
Mhm.
keep it confidential? These are all options for keeping the boundaries strong. All
Yeah.
right. So, how do you handle it when someone violates your boundaries? What does it look like? What does this conversation look like with a client?
So,
And what's the outcome?
I'm kind, but I'm also firm.
Mm,
You can't beat around the bush, you can't be wishy-washy. I think you have to be firm, but, also you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to,
yeah.
'cause, then they may be hurt and not come back. So, um and also, real people and show up in a kind way, but also, by example. It's important to be firm because you're probably coaching, or you may be coaching your client with, their boundaries, and you're gonna want them to be firm with. So, um, kind but firm is kind of what I try to focus on.
I do as well, and
Yeah.
very direct,
Yeah.
very
Okay.
direct, and using I statements, like, "This
Mhm.
made me feel uncomfortable when
Mhm.
XYZ happened, I felt, I experienced,"
Mhm.
and let's refer back to the contract to understand the rules here. Um, I had an experience once where a client wrote me one of those 4-page emails,
Mhm.
"Here's all my things, here's the whole download." And I remember I was traveling, I was in a hotel room, and I responded, not in depth, but just kind of like an acknowledgement, "I saw this," and just like a motivational,
Mhm.
response, right?
Mhm.
To my absolute surprise, 3 or 4 other people had been BCC'd on the
Oh,
email and
wow.
all started chiming in, critiquing my response as a coach.
Oh, that's horrible.
It was
It's, like,
weird.
sneaky. Yeah, it's almost like telling it's weird. It's yeah,
It
that's
it was
yeah.
weird. So, to that end, both coach and client have the right to terminate the coaching engagement at any time.
Sure, yeah.
And that was such a huge lesson for me in what a last straw feels like.
Mhm. Mhm, and, also trust being broken, right? So
Yes.
the trust works on both sides. So clients can, lose trust in you, but you could also lose trust in your clients if they're not respecting your boundaries.
And I used the ICF standard of confidentiality of, "Hey, this this broke my ability to keep our relationship confidential. I can no longer
Mhm.
participate in this coaching engagement. It's against the ethical standards that I
Mm.
operate in."
Mhm.
And it's very clear. So, best practice is to have a refund policy in place so that you can maneuver as you need to.
Mhm.
Um, and then using, confidentiality. So this is also a really interesting part of setting boundaries with clients because confidentiality takes place before, during, and after a session. And
Right.
as a coach, you can't let anyone know that a client is your client
Mhm.
um, before, during, or after a coaching engagement. So, how does this work if you see someone in public?
Oh, I have seen my own, therapist or coach in public, and, I've also seen clients in public, and I also wanna just put a note, yes, you it's confidentiality, but you can with the permission of your client, because I've also had clients who, um, was on with a guest on my podcast or something like that, and they're okay with me, breaking that confidentiality. But yeah, when I see people in real life, I don't ignore them.
Mhm.
I don't get weird, but I don't also allow myself to start, diving into sessions or anything personal. So,
Oh,
I
yeah.
make sure there's some distance, but of course, because I've had my own therapist see me at the grocery store and, like, ignore me,
Mhm.
and I felt like that's a little over the top, man. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
follow you around, just at least say hi to me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something I would typically put in my contract and get clear on it of
Mhm.
like and actually have the client sign off and discuss this. Like if we see each other in person,
Mhm.
do you want me to acknowledge
Right.
you or
Right.
do you want me to pretend that you're a stranger and get an up down yes no so that you know what the client's preference is?
Yeah, so ask the client.
Ask the client.
Yeah.
And then how about social media? What do you think? How do you engage with clients on social media?
I mean, I engage with them, I just don't, tell the world they're my clients. Now if we're, like, doing a live or something and they say, "John is my therapist or coach," that's on them, but I never break confidentiality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, there might be a time, like, if I see one of my clients has posted an adorable picture with their kid, I'm
Mhm.
gonna give it a like, right?
Sure.
But I'm not gonna go through and like every single thing they've ever done, start
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
conversations,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
"You look great in that dress," it's
Right.
like it needs to be boundaried and professional. How about romantic feelings? Has this ever happened?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Okay, tell
both
me,
sides.
tell us,
Um
spill the beans.
So, well, in the therapy world, you're supposed to bring that in the room and actually process it and talk about it. So, because what happens is if it's not talked about, it could get in the way of the sessions. So, but I would be cautious about. So, like for example, if your client is attracted to you, I wouldn't say, "Hey, I noticed you're attracted to." I mean, that's it's up to them,
Yeah,
to bring it up and
yeah.
talk about. Now, if there's something happening and you have feelings toward the client, that's your responsibility to kind of bring into the room.
It
You
is.
also should process that with your own therapist or your own to kind of work through it, instead of just jumping the gun.
That's what supervision is for.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's what
Yes.
supervision is for. So, in coaching, unlike therapy, if you as a coach develop romantic feelings for your client, the
Mhm.
standard is for you to terminate the coaching engagement, right? That's the standard. Here's a case study, and this is an interesting one. It actually came up on one of the ICF ethics quizzes. You've had a session with your client, and there was like some exuberant energy that you
Mhm.
couldn't really put your finger on.
Mhm.
And then maybe 2 hours after your session, you get a text from a client who's in your city at a conference. "Hey, I'm out at this bar with my friends. I would
Mm.
really love to see you."
Sure.
What do you do? What do you
Yeah.
do?
I get that all the time via DM, social media. "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm in LA. Let's grab coffee." All that I get that all the time,
Mhm.
and I think I get that because, I'm quote unquote, influencer or active on social. I don't go. I don't go. I mean, unless we are authentically have been friends for a long time. I mean, there's friends I've made, in Lumia, I mean, Paul, but, unless we're genuinely friends, and I don't, I thank them for the invite, and, I usually don't participate.
Yeah, I that is you have answered the question correctly, sir.
Yeah.
So yes, in that situation, you want to decline the invitation and then set aside time with your client, maybe before session, after session, or a special 10-minute check-in of, "Hey, this felt and however it felt authentic to you, confusing, I wasn't sure, a little
Yeah.
off-putting. Can you tell me what your intention and need was
Yeah.
when you
Yeah, just
invited
checking in with the
me
client and making sure, they're okay.
to this situation?" So, all right. How about when a coaching relationship ends and you're no longer under contract with the client? Romance, friendship, trips to Vegas, what's on the table?
Yeah, you're supposed to, have I guess you would say a termination, or you're supposed to have like a last session, like a kind of a goodbye session, recap, just creating a space for the client to, um, reflect on the relationship and all that. Now it's up to the client if they want that or not, but you definitely should offer that, so sessions don't just abruptly end, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, in the therapy world, the rule is, 2 years after terminating with a client, you can then be friends, you can be intimate, you can do whatever, but there's a 2-year, I don't know what it is in the coaching world, but in the therapy world, there's an actual 2-year thing rule.
It Back in the day when I was studying coach training, like 12 years ago, it was also the 2-year rule. I
Mhm,
believe that that has now changed, that it's just like the end of the coaching engagement is the
mhm.
end of the coaching engagement. But for coaches, something to think about, and it's the same for therapists, is that confidentiality never ends.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So if you want to be great best friends with one of your clients and go on trips and go on cruises, like that's awesome. And how can you ensure that you're maintaining confidentiality, and are you acting and engaging in a way that is truly reflective of your professional identity
Yeah,
as a coach and the
yeah,
ICF code of ethics? And especially if you're thinking about a romantic relationship with a client,
yeah.
that's something to consider is, well, how will confidentiality fit into this whole thing? How about my brand? How about all of the ethics that I
Mhm.
hold of being a coach? So, food for thought. Food for thought.
Yes, all important, and, things that every coach in their career, you're gonna come across this, so,
Sure, and
yeah.
and it's fun. I mean, it is do genuinely enjoy seeing my clients if
Mhm,
I'm in their city.
mhm.
We'll have dinner,
Sure.
and we'll hang socially, but it's professional because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
professional engagement, so I wouldn't we're not doing shots at the table.
Yeah, of course.
It's we're having a nice meal. It's
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's cool. I think I love it. I love that. I think that's also what makes coaching fun. I
It
mean,
is.
we're doing this because we hopefully we enjoy people and their company. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you for a great conversation.
yes,
And if folks want to learn more about this, this is what is taught in coach training so that you make sure you're answering the question, am I doing this right? And come see us at Lumia. We'd love to
yeah.
have you.
Let me end with giving you Noelle's home address. If you're in the
Nice, right?
area, just drive by. Drive by.
Drive by,
Yeah.
throw water balloons. Let me know
Yes.
you're outside.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Be well.
Take care.